Hi, Tales from the Shed. I mean, I'm just thinking, I keep saying Tales from the New Shed. It's a bit like when you go to a road and it says there's a new layout, and you kind of think, and there's some around here and it's been there for 2 years.
And you're looking for the new layout.
That's right.
And it's like this, I don't know what
it is. So we can still call it the New Shed, though.
Do you think so?
I think we can.
I think this is the last one. I think
All
this
right.
will be, this will be the last one. It still feels like a new shed, mainly because we keep moving things around, so it feels like a new shed. But it always does. Perhaps it's just my age. Everything feels young at my age.
I think so. I think
that's a new age. But
today
we have in mind something that actually cropped up when we were doing a webinar recently. We were on this webinar. And we were talking to recruiters, HR departments.
HR people, yeah.
So the people that were on the HR about menopause, about how to help their employees deal with menopause and so on. And whenever we talk about menopause, we get this thing about HRT that comes up. And because HRT is such a huge thing, it goes in fashions. It really goes in fashions. In the 70s, it was the best thing ever, and we're going to give all women at 40 HRT for the rest of their life.
They need it or not.
They needed it or not. And then it went through it's disastrous. It causes every woman that ever takes it cancer. It didn't, but you know, this is, I'm sure.
It's either is or it isn't.
It does, but it either is or isn't, and it's going to. So they withdrew it, and then they very carefully medicalized it and said it was safe for 10 years. Then they said that's really unsafe. It's safe for 5 years. Now we're going a little bit more towards the 1970s, where it's kind of for every woman, and it's safe.
Take it till you're in your coffin.
Take it till you're in your coffin. And so we were talking through this process, and more than what HRT is and does, it was what came up was this philosophy of what should be our approach, didn't it? It really popped up in that area.
And I always think it's interesting to remember that HRT was invented. The man who invented it said it was to stop women becoming dull and unattractive. So it wasn't anything really to do with the health of the woman or to do with managing symptoms or all the rest of it.
It was his approach.
It was his approach.
He was feeling a bit less attracted to his wife.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
a bit more attracted to other women.
She was a bit ornery. You know, she didn't really want to cook his dinner every day. I mean, it just kind of felt like that. It felt like, you know, women are getting a bit less amenable at this time. You're going, So that was the whole purpose of it. But I love that phrase, and the fact that he said menopausal women are castrate. So he really put that whole thing about
it's a horrible thing to say.
If you're not fertile, then you're pointless, really. So that's, I think, where it came from.
That's really, because I think it's very unspoken. I'm not saying I'm not saying that on Google you'd have it hidden from you, but it's not something that until we came across it at that sort of point, I hadn't really even considered. I think we'd always looked at it as it is a medical solution. That's not it. But because women were suffering, we created this medical solution. But actually, it came from the fact that women are less amenable.
Get a bit wrinkly,
bit jowly, bit droppy.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the elixir. I've either got to make the problem and the bother of finding a new wife, and I've already broken this one in.
Yeah.
Or I can just change this one to look a bit more attractive,
like she used to be,
like a bit more.
She'll be nicer. She'll be nicer to me, because she might not be doing my laundry anymore, because she just kind of said, do it yourself.
Which is a really interesting view of what HRT is. It doesn't take away from the fact that it can help some women in some places.
Absolutely.
But I think this whole idea, and what's coming through, is instead of accepting the change of menopause or the change of getting older, it's that we have to go back and step back and be who we used to be. Because changing, especially when you've been in a place for a long time, is a bit more difficult.
And I think that it's interesting, because obviously in the work that we do, we meet a lot of women that have taken the decision to do that in whatever way they made that decision, whether it was, you know, out of desperation or whatever. And so, because we're kind of saying that thing of, it isn't all women should or all women shouldn't. So it's like, make that decision, find out what works for you, all the rest of it, do it from a position of knowledge. But and that was the kind of that we quite often talk about HRT, and that we're questioned about it, and we kind of pinned it down to the philosophy of HRT is the thing that we're uncomfortable with.
I'm really uncomfortable with it because it's stopping women progress, but it's buying into the fear of change, and it's keeping women young, but it's also stopping women stepping into a new place. Or you must be young. There was an article I was reading about why do French women look so attractive when they're older. And it was basically a really long, complicated, science-based thing about if you buy this cream for £90 a pot, it kind of, fair enough, which anyway, we won't go into that. But it was like anything. And if you say to women, if you could pay £500 a month to keep your looks, and I think that's really scary. Because surely it's about, we want to look as good as we can. That's not the point. It's almost accepting and living in new worlds every day, moving forward. It's that accepting and exploring changes that life opportunity. And if we get stuck in a place, and to me it's a fearful place, it's not a joyful place.
It's both that, and it's also saying you need to get fixed. You're broken, and you need to be fixed. And what we're saying is we don't think women are broken, and you might be having, whatever's going on for you. It might be that you're not having any symptoms. It might mean that you're having mild symptoms. It might be you're having incredibly awful symptoms. So that you will make different decisions depending on that. And even if you're getting into the incredibly awful symptoms, there'll be a number of different things that you want to try, that you're prepared to try, that work for you. So for some women, it will work, absolutely. And for some, it won't work, absolutely, in terms of their medical history or whatever it is. And then there are a whole number of places where it might work for a while. But
this isn't the philosophy that's there.
This is not the philosophy.
The philosophy is, if you're getting a bit older, take HRT. It will keep you young and make you fit better. And it will make you work better. It will make you be better. And I met a client recently who's 40 and she couldn't sleep. And she went to her doctor and the doctor put her on HRT. And she came back and she said, I'm feeling shocking. I'm feeling worse. I'm feeling so ill. Everything's got worse. And I said, but you've gone for sleeplessness. Whether or not it's right, why didn't you get some Zopiclone that helps you sleep? It's like, you've gone for this and he's given you HRT. And also her periods were regular. Her FSH, which indicates how old she is menstrually, was incredibly low. She was incredibly fertile.
Oh, blimey.
So she was given HRT with no blood tests. When she had a subsequent blood test, it was really, really, I mean, she could have had another 3 children. And you think it's the philosophy of fixing, not the problem, which is what you're describing. You're describing, I have this problem, this will sort it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, whatever it is, if we keep you younger.
I know.
And I think quite scary that it's become so acceptable in that way.
And the thing where people talk about, so I met somebody and she said she was 47, I think, and she'd been on the pill for 20 years or whatever. And she went to the doctor and went, oh yeah, well, we'll take you off the pill and we'll put you on HRT. No conversation, no thinking about whether you need it or not. And, that whole kind of thing of, it's not a wonder drug that fixes everything. It's very good in particular circumstances in that kind of stuff. But it's almost like, well, if you're over 40, whatever you've got, we'll just give you HRT.
If you're 40, you're dead and buried. So let's try and keep you under 40 and then you fit better. So that's it's just a thought. It's just a little ideas. And we have many, many, many other thoughts. And we'll probably, in a couple of weeks, come and do this in a slightly different way. But this is a top surface. So if you're interested, leave us a comment. But we'll definitely come back to this in another way, because I think it's important in a societal way as well.
Yeah, you don't need fixing. Yeah.